Chosen one, this morning, before the day fully opened in front of you, a record was sealed in the unseen. Not a record of something you posted, not a record of something you announced. A record of a single action you took recently, an action no one applauded because no one fully understood what it cost you. You carried it into silence and assumed the silence meant it did not matter. The silence meant something else. The silence was a pause, a held breath. Heaven, waiting for the moment your name would be added to a book that does not contain the things the world celebrates. It contains the things heaven refuses to forget. Your name was added this morning, and the Father responded with pride. Settled, ancient, fatherly pride. The kind that arrives with weight, not fanfare. You did not get here by accident. The reason this message found you in this exact hour is because what was sealed in the unseen now needs to be revealed in the seen. Stay close, because what you are about to receive is the meaning of what already happened, and the shape of the season it is opening for you. One quiet note before I continue. Everything in this message is yours, free. But if your spirit pulls toward more, a link sits in the description and the pinned comment, only if you feel led. And before we go deeper, I want you to know what is waiting in the next 30 minutes if you stay all the way through. You will hear the specific moment heaven recorded about you. You will be given an ancient wisdom anchor that explains exactly why what you did mattered more than anything visible you have done. You will be shown the three identities heaven has been quietly forming in you through this entire hidden season. And before this message closes, I am going to speak something specific over the next 30 days of your life. So if you have been waiting for a message that lands different than every other word of encouragement you have heard, sit down. Stay here. This one is for you. Let me ground you in something specific before we go deeper. I want you to think back over the last several months. Not the headline moments, not the things you would tell a friend about if they asked how you have been. I want you to think about the smaller days, the ordinary mornings, the conversations you do not even remember having, the choices you made that felt routine at the time. Because somewhere inside those forgotten days is the moment heaven was watching most carefully. The part of you that has been carrying this season is also the part of you that has stopped expecting anyone to notice what you have been doing. You stopped expecting acknowledgement a long time ago. You stopped waiting for the apology. You stopped waiting for the recognition you earned but were never given. You started doing the right thing simply because the right thing was the only thing you knew how to do anymore. And in the quietness of that decision, in the privacy of a choice, no one was watching. Something was happening in the unseen. Now, most chosen ones believe heaven only records the big moments, the visible answers to prayer, the breakthroughs that finally arrive after years of waiting, the ministry-shaped moments, the moments that would look like faith if someone wrote them down. And those are recorded too. But that is the surface understanding. That is what most people walk through their whole lives believing. And it leaves them empty because most of life is not made of those moments. Most of life is the smaller hours. And if the smaller hours do not count, then most of what a chosen one carries does not count. Heaven knows this. And heaven records differently than most people understand. There is a book the Father keeps, a book that does not contain the things the world celebrates. It contains the things heaven refuses to forget. And what gets entered into that book is not what you announced. It is not what trended. It is not what you got rewarded for. It is the action you took in the quietness when no one was even paying attention to whether you would do it or not. That is the kind of moment heaven leans forward for. That is the kind of moment heaven seals. And the reason I am telling you this is because you have been receiving signs for a while now that something is shifting around you. You may not have named it yet. Some of you have been moved unexpectedly by small kindnesses from strangers, kindnesses that felt like more than coincidence. Some of you have stopped being able to tolerate the performative spirituality you used to participate in, the loud declarations, the made-for-the-feed faithfulness, because something inside you has quieted, and the louder forms now feel hollow. Some of you have been seeing 444 inches odd places, on clocks, on receipts, in addresses, and some of you have been having dreams where you are being seen by someone you cannot quite identify, and you wake up calm in a way you have not felt in a long time. None of that is random. None of that is coincidence. None of that is your imagination. Those are the early signs that the Book of Remembrance has just received a new entry, and the new entry has your name on it. The signs are heaven, confirming what has already been recorded. They are not the recording itself. The recording happened in the silence. The signs are the echo, and the echo means something is coming. But before I tell you exactly what was recorded, I have to take you one layer deeper, because there is something most chosen ones never learn about how heaven records. There is a verse most people read once and forget. It sits in a small book at the end of the Old Testament called Malachi. In the 3rd chapter, in the 16th verse, something happens that almost slips past you when you read it. The verse says that those who feared the Lord spoke with one another, and the Lord listened. And then it says something stranger. It says, a book of remembrance was written before him, a book of those who feared the Lord and esteemed his name. Now in modern English, the word remembrance sounds soft. It sounds like a memory, like a keepsake. But that is not what the original word means. The original word in the Hebrew is zikaron, and zikaron does not mean memory. Zikaron means a permanent inscription that triggers divine action when it is read aloud. A zikaron is not passive. It is the kind of record that, once it is sealed, sets something in motion in the seen world. The moment a name enters the zikaron, the heavens begin to move toward the person whose name is written there. The recording is not the end of the story. The recording is the beginning of the response. And this morning, your name was added to the zikaron of the Father. Sit with that. Because what that means is, something is now moving toward you that was not moving toward you yesterday. The recording was not a closing of a chapter. It was the opening of one. Now I want to tell you about someone whose life makes this clearer than any explanation I can offer. Long before Mary, the mother of Jesus, ever had her name spoken by an angel, Mary had years of life that no one ever wrote down, ordinary years. Years of being a young woman in a small town, years of carrying out the daily acts of faithfulness that nobody around her was tracking, years of choosing reverence when reverence was inconvenient, years of staying soft when the world around her was getting harder. Those years are not in the scripture. Those years did not make it into the public record of her life. But heaven was watching every one of them. Heaven was watching when she said small prayers no one heard. Heaven was watching when she chose kindness toward people who had given her no reason to be kind. Heaven was watching when she let go of something she had every right to hold on to. Heaven was watching when she made peace with a season nobody around her would have made peace with. Heaven was watching when she remained the person she was when nobody was looking at her. And by the time Gabriel showed up at her doorway with a message that would change everything, the favor he announced was not new favor. The favor was already there. The favor had been growing through every hidden act she had ever taken. The Annunciation was not the beginning. It was the surfacing of what had been buried for years. That is how heaven records. The hidden acts compile. They accumulate weight. They press against the visible world until the visible world has to yield to them. And when the timing is right, the same favor that was hidden becomes the favor that is announced. The favor was always there. The recording made it inevitable. There is a picture I want to give you that holds this whole teaching. Think of a seed that has been pressed into the ground for a long season. From the outside, nothing is happening. The ground looks the same. The seed looks like a small dead thing in the dirt. But under the surface, the seed has been doing the work no one can see. Roots have been pushing down. Cells have been multiplying. And then one day, with no fanfare, something green pushes through the surface. and anyone who walks by assumes the green thing just appeared. They do not know about the buried season, they only see the surfacing. That is what heaven records. The buried season, the work no one watches, the faithfulness in the dirt. And the moment heaven seals the recording is the moment the surfacing becomes inevitable. So when I tell you that your name was added to the Zikaron this morning, what I am telling you is that something has just become inevitable. The buried season is finishing its work, and the next phase of your life is going to look, from the outside, like it appeared out of nowhere. But you will know that this thing surfacing has been growing in the dirt for years. Before I take you into the next layer, I want to pause for one moment. The seed phase you have been in, the buried season that has been compiling in your favor, has a particular frequency. The way hidden faithfulness gets carried in the body and mind is not random. There is a brainwave the ancient texts kept pointing at without naming, and modern researchers have now mapped it precisely. When you spend years in the buried season, that frequency quietly fades. Not because you did anything wrong, because the modern world dampens it in everyone, beginning in childhood. A researcher named Dr. Robert Lake spent 34 years measuring this exact pattern, and the tool he built to restore it has a name. It is called the Genius Song, a short audio track, 7 minutes long, that gently brings that frequency back online so the surfacing season can land in a body that is ready for it. I will walk you through the full story later. For now, if your spirit already knows this is the tool for you, the link sits in the description and the pinned comment. Either door is open. For those staying with me, what comes next changes the way you will see this entire season. Because here is what most chosen ones never get to hear. The moment heaven recorded this morning, the specific act that triggered the seal on the Zikaron, was not the moment you would have expected. It was not the time you held the line publicly. It was not the prayer that finally got answered. It was not the moment of breakthrough you can point to and explain. It was something smaller than that. Something so small you may have already half forgotten you did it. And once I show you which kind of moment it was, you will not see your last several months the same way again. You will go back through the season in your mind, and you will find the moment yourself. And when you find it, you will understand why heaven valued it more than anything visible you have ever done. I will tell you the exact shape of that moment in the second part of this message. And before this entire message closes, I am going to speak something specific over the next 30 days of your life, something that has been waiting for you to hear it spoken. So stay close. Settle in somewhere quiet if you can. Because what comes next is the part of the message that the part of you that has been carrying this season the longest most needs to receive. One more thing while we are still here. The work Dr. Lake mapped covers far more than what fits inside this one message. The full arc of restoration he documented has more to it than we will touch today. For now, we are focused on the first door. The rest opens when you are ready. Welcome back, chosen one. Before I show you the moment heaven recorded, I want you to breathe once, slowly, because what I am about to tell you is going to land in a part of you that has been waiting a long time to hear it. Yesterday, the day before, the week before, you walked through a moment that you have probably already half forgotten. The moment did not feel important when it happened. The moment did not announce itself. And here is what heaven recorded. The moment heaven sealed into the Zikaron was not the moment you did something visible. It was the moment you did not do something you had every right to do. It was the moment of restraint. The moment you chose not to defend yourself when defending yourself was warranted. The moment you chose not to retaliate when retaliation would have been fair. The moment you chose not to clarify, not to correct the record, not to make sure the people watching understood your side of the story. You chose to stay quiet when speaking was the natural response. You chose to release when holding on was the easy thing to do. You chose to let someone misunderstand you when you could have made them understand. That moment, the moment of withheld response, is the moment heaven leaned forward for. And it is the moment that was sealed into your record this morning. You thought heaven recorded the moment you broke through. Heaven recorded the moment you chose not to defend. You thought heaven recorded the moment you got the response right. Heaven recorded the moment you chose not to respond at all. You thought heaven recorded the action you took. Heaven recorded the moment just before the action, when you had every reason to take the other path, and you chose not to. You thought heaven recorded the choice itself. Heaven recorded the cost behind the choice. The part of you that had to die before you could choose right, when choosing right cost you something nobody around you understood. Sit with that, because that is not the kind of moment anyone applauds. That is not the kind of moment anyone notices. That moment, in your own memory, is probably filed under nothing happened. You walked away from it almost forgetting it happened. The person you withheld response from does not know what they were spared. The whole moment looked, from every visible angle, like nothing. And I hear the Father saying this clearly. I saw what no one else saw. I watched the moment you chose. I watched the part of you that wanted to respond, and I watched the larger part of you that chose silence. I have entered that moment into the record because it deserved to be there. The record will not be erased. The favor that was hidden in the choice is the favor I am now releasing into the visible part of your season. Receive it. That is what was recorded. That is why the Father is proud. Because what he has been waiting to see is not whether you would do the obvious right thing. He knew you would do that. What he has been waiting to see is whether you would stay faithful in the moment that nobody would have blamed you for failing. The moment most chosen ones do fail in. The moment that is the quiet test of formation. And you passed it. You did not know it was a test. You did not perform it because anyone was watching. You did the right thing because the right thing had become who you were when no one was looking. And the moment your character was tested in that exact way and you held the line was the moment heaven recorded. Let me stop here for a moment. I want you to notice something. You have been listening to this for a while now. Your breath has a particular rhythm. The part of you that came into this message tense has, somewhere along the way, started to release some of that tension. That is not nothing. That is the receiving you came here to do. So before I take you into the next part, just breathe with me once. Slowly in, slowly out. Nothing to receive, nothing to release. Just one breath, taken on purpose. And I want to say something simple to the part of you that has carried this season the longest. Thank you. Thank you for staying. Thank you for not walking away from this calling when walking away would have been easier. Thank you for choosing right when no one watched you choose. The Father has been carrying gratitude toward you for longer than you realize, and some of what is happening in this season is simply the part of his gratitude that is now becoming visible in your life. You are not the only chosen one walking through this exact shift right now. Across the world, in this same hour, others like you are receiving the same recognition in the unseen. Now let me bring everything we have walked through into one truth. Heaven records what costs you the most when no one is watching. That is the whole teaching. The reason the recording happens in the buried season is because that is where the truest faithfulness lives. The reason the surfacing follows the recording is because heaven does not record without then responding. The recording is the trigger, the response is the season, and the season is the part you are now walking into. There are 3 identities heaven has been forming in you through this exact kind of hidden faithfulness, and you do not have to claim them. They are already true. The first is the truth carrier. You are the person who cannot live inauthentically anymore. That is why the moment of withheld response was even possible for you. You did not withhold response out of fear. You withheld response because retaliating would have made you somebody you no longer are. The truth in you was protecting itself. The second is the sacred worshipper. You are the person whose deepest devotion does not happen in public. The most reverent moments of your life have happened in the smallest rooms of your life. That is not a weakness in your faith. That is the most authentic shape of your faith. The third is the hope restorer. You are the person whose restraint preserves something larger than yourself. The moment you chose silence preserved a possibility for someone else, for a future, for a season that had not yet arrived. You did not see what you were protecting. You just protected it instinctively because that is who you have become. Now, here is what shifts in your life as the Zikaron triggers the response. For those entering this season, your relationships will reorganize. Some people who have been close to you will quietly drift, and you will feel the drift before you can explain it. Do not try to hold them. At the same time, people who recognize your formation will begin to arrive, sometimes from directions you would not have expected. Your purpose will also begin to clarify. The fog you have been moving through will start to lift, and the next step, the very specific next step you have been asking about, will become obvious in a way it has not been before. And your provision will move. Doors you did not knock on will open. The favor that was hidden in the choice you made will surface as favor in the visible parts of your life. And I want to say 4 things to the part of you that still feels guilty for letting things shift. You are allowed to receive recognition you did not chase. You are allowed to let the season change you. You are allowed to walk into the seen part of your calling without explaining yourself to the people who only knew the hidden version of you. And you do not owe anyone an apology for being seen by heaven first. There is a woman I want to tell you about. I am going to keep her name out of this, because the part of her story that matters is the part nobody saw. 11 months ago, she was publicly misrepresented in a way that hurt her career, hurt her standing among people she had trusted, and gave her every right to defend herself. She had the receipts. She had the documentation. And she chose not to. She chose 40 days of strategic silence instead. She kept doing her work quietly. She let the story stand without her side of it being told. And on day 37, something she had not expected happened. A door opened. Someone she had never spoken to, someone who had no reason to vindicate her, did so anyway, in a public way she could never have orchestrated. Her name was cleared by a mouth that was not her own, and the platform she lost was replaced by one larger than the one she had walked away from. She was not the witness she did not perform for. Heaven was the witness that paid her back. Before I bring this message into the part where the season actually opens for you, there is one thing about how the unseen ledger triggers the scene that I have not told you yet. It is the part most chosen ones never get to hear. And once you hear it, you will understand why some of you have been feeling exhausted in a way that sleep does not fix. Stay close. So let me bring this into plain language for a moment, because I want you to walk away from this message holding it clearly. The reason this message reached you in this exact hour is because a moment of Zalamh you carried out recently, a moment where you chose not to respond, not to defend, not to retaliate, was the moment heaven was waiting for. That moment qualified you for the season that is now opening, and the recording of it in the unseen ledger is what is setting the visible part of your season in motion. That is the why. Here is the what. You learned today that heaven keeps a book called the Zikaron, an active record that triggers response in the visible world. You learned that what gets entered into that book is not the visible faithfulness, but the cost behind the faithfulness, the part nobody around you saw. You learned that hidden seasons are not the absence of favor. They are the formation of favor. You learned that what you have been carrying in silence has been compiling weight, and the surfacing of it is no longer a question of if, but of when. Here is the who. You are not a chosen one in name only. You are a chosen one whose character has now been tested in the exact way heaven was waiting for it to be tested, and you held. You are the person heaven was forming through every quiet decision of the last several years. You are the person whose hidden season has just officially closed and whose visible season has just officially begun. And before this message closes, I want to put one more thing in your hands. The visible season that is now opening for you will ask something of your body and your mind that the hidden season did not ask. The seed phase is one kind of effort. The surfacing is another. And the frequency you will need for the surfacing is the same one that quietly faded during the buried work. You were not born ordinary. The reason your intuition has been louder than other people's, the reason your sense of meaning has been heavier, is because chosen ones inherit a brainwave the rest of the world is taught to suppress. That brainwave is called gamma. And earlier I mentioned the tool Dr. Robert Lake built to bring it back online, the Genius Song. Now I want to walk through it fully, because what you just received and this tool walk in the same direction. Dr. Robert Lake spent 34 years inside the question of why gamma fades. Working with research teams at MIT, Princeton, and other leading universities, he mapped the exact moment in childhood when the modern world begins to dampen this frequency. It starts, on average, around age 7. Researchers call it the decline effect. Dr. Lake described it as the moment most adults lose access to the youthful brain pattern they were born with. What he discovered is that gamma can be restored, not with willpower, through a process called brain entrainment, where a precise audio frequency guides the brain back into the wave it was built to operate in. 18,366 people have walked through this protocol, and fewer than 4 out of every 100 have asked for their money back. The rest kept using it because they felt the difference. There is a teacher I spoke with recently who used the tool for 30 days. She had been in a fog for almost 2 years, could not focus, could not feel her own intuition. She put on her headphones for 7 minutes a day, and somewhere around day 18, she said the volume of her own knowing came back online. Not loud, just clear. The way clarity feels when it has been quiet a long time. Now I know some of you are tired of starting over with something new, so let me be direct. This is not the same as anything you have tried. Meditation asks the brain to change itself slowly from the inside. Brain entrainment recalibrates the brain from the outside. Different mechanism, different timeline. Some of you are also wondering if it sounds too good to be true. I understand. This is not a claim from someone selling something. It is measured EEG data from real labs. And some of you are thinking, $39 is not nothing. You are right. It is not nothing. I will not pretend otherwise. So let me give you the full picture. The options people normally consider when they are trying to recover their clarity look like this. A meditation app subscription costs around $15 a month. A single therapy session can run $150. A weekend spiritual retreat starts around $400. There are biofeedback clinics charging around $300 per session for adjacent work. None of them target gamma specifically. The original price of the Genius Song was $49. Dr. Lake released it at a reduced price of $39 for those who arrive through messages like this one. You will not find that price anywhere else. And when you receive it, you also receive 4 bonuses included. A short audio track for children, calibrated for the brain before the decline effect, valued at $19. The original book that inspired the film The Secret, a book about real financial principles, valued at $20. A 22-minute guided visualization across 4 areas of life, valued at $29. And a 1-page guide of 5 daily habits practiced by people who maintained gamma after the protocol, valued at $12. $80 in bonuses, included with the $39 price. There is a 90-day guarantee. If you decide it is not for you, you get the $39 back, and you keep all $80 in bonuses. There is nothing to return. The bonuses are simply yours, as an apology for the time you spent considering it. The reason this is in front of you in this exact hour is because the recording in the unseen has already been made, and the visible season is already opening. The tool meets the season. It is not urgent in the sense of artificial scarcity. It is urgent in the sense of timing. The right tool meets the right season. One thing before you go searching for this anywhere else. There are imitations floating around, similar language, similar imagery, not the same frequency, because not built on the same research. The version Dr. Lake created is the one with measurements behind it. The link in the description and the pinned comment leads to the official source. Do not buy from anywhere else. The frequency matters too much. If your spirit confirms that the genius song is your next step, the link is in the description and the pinned comment. Walk through that door only if you feel led. Now, before we close, I want you to take a moment with me. If you are driving, just keep your eyes open and let what I describe move through your hearing. If you are resting somewhere, you can close your eyes if it feels right. Either way, you do not need to move. Stay exactly where you are. I want you to picture, just inside your mind, an open scroll. The scroll is not made of paper. It is something older than paper. And in the center of the scroll is your name, written in a way no one can erase. Beside your name is the action that was recorded this morning. You do not need to know exactly what it says. The Father knows. And right now, He is reading what was written, slowly, with the kind of attention He has been waiting to give it. Let the weight of being seen settle. You do not have to do anything with it. Just let it be there. Breathe once. You are seen. And now we come to the close of this message. Stay with me for these last few minutes, because the words I am about to speak over you are the reason this message was placed in front of you today. The Father has been carrying gratitude toward you for longer than you have realized. Not because of the visible parts of your calling, because of the small hours, because of the rooms you prayed in alone, because of the choices you made when no one was watching, because of the season you stayed faithful in, when faithfulness was costing you something nobody around you understood. The hidden has been carrying weight. The recording has been carrying weight. And the moment we are in is the moment the weight begins to move. The Father sees every act of faithfulness held in silence, every moment of withheld response, every choice made when no one would have noticed if you had chosen otherwise. None of it was lost. None of it was wasted. All of it has been compiling toward this exact moment. So I want you to picture, one more time, the weight of all those hidden years held in your hands, the weight of every silent prayer, the weight of every quiet act of restraint, the weight of every choice no one acknowledged. And I want you to picture handing it to the Father. He has been waiting to take it. And I hear the Father saying this clearly. I have seen, I have recorded. What was hidden, I am now releasing into the scene. Walk forward. Receive this now. You are seen. You are recorded. You are commissioned into the season. Your hidden faithfulness already qualified you for. The buried years are not lost. The buried years are the foundation. The years you spent in the dirt are the years that built the roots that are now holding the surfacing. You are not waiting for permission anymore. The permission was already granted in the unseen this morning. You are not waiting to be ready. The readiness was the entire point of the hidden season. You are not waiting for the door to open. The door is already opening. Walk through it as the chosen one you have always been becoming. There is a destiny's embrace waiting for you on the other side. A destiny that has been preparing to receive you for longer than you have been aware of it. You are not alone in this. Right now, across the world, other chosen ones are receiving this same recognition in the unseen. You are part of a quiet wave that the visible world is not aware of yet, but you will see it soon enough. It is sealed. It is done. If your spirit just confirmed any part of what I have spoken over you, type the words "I see it" in the comment below. Let those 3 words seal what was just recorded for you. And if this message carried weight to you, send it to one other chosen one in your life who has been holding faithfulness. No one has been acknowledging. They are walking through the same hidden season you have been walking through, and they need to know what was recorded this morning too. If you want to be here when the next message in this season is delivered, the path to staying connected sits below this message. And then, close your eyes if you can, or simply sit with what you have received. Let it land. Amen.